The Philadelphia Eagles preparing to take on the New York Giants this weekend. Will they finally clinch the #1 seed? Well, after today, it may have just gotten a whole lot easier to do so. We'll talk about that, break down the latest injury news, and a whole lot more. What is going on, everyone? RB here. Welcome into A to Z Philly, your #1 home for Eagles coverage. Do us a favor, hit that like button wherever you're watching this video and subscribe by hitting that red button on A to Z Philly's YouTube page. Stay updated with the content. Today we are back, and there have been minimal updates throughout the week. Not a lot of noise. Obviously, the NFL world has been put on a standstill, and, that was a tragic, very scary injury on Monday Night Football, and it has been really nice to see how the NFL world has come together on this situation. We'll talk about that more later on in today's show, but very, very happy to hear that Damar Hamlin is doing well. Here is the latest update on that. We'll just take a look at it real quick. The Buffalo Bills saying that he was able to communicate, and he even wrote down and asked the doctors who won on Monday night, to which the doctor answered, "You won, Damar. You won the game of life." Very, very good to see everybody coming together here, and just glad to see that that man is doing okay, because, man, what a horrific scene that was. But we will start today by talking about the latest injury updates. That has been the biggest question for weeks now. I've sat up here and I've been a bit skeptical, saying that Jalen Hurts' injury could actually be much more than we see on the surface. And for the last couple weeks, it's been a precaution, and it's been, oh, well, you have a good backup at Gardner-Minshew, and you can afford to let Hurts rest, and you can still win this game. Well, let me tell you something, okay? Gardner-Minshew cannot win a meaningful game, as we saw last week. The Philadelphia Eagles get deep in the playoffs and have to rely on Gardner-Minshew to go beat a really good team, a really good defense. I don't think he can do that. So Jalen Hurts getting healthy is imminent for this team right now, and by this time, a lot of people thought he would be cleared and ready to go. Well, maybe not so fast. Here is the latest injury update on Jalen Hurts. According to Brandon Lee Gouton today, Jalen Hurts was limited again as a participant at practice yesterday. He was there for limited participation. Some people are saying he's running with the one. Some people are saying he's getting a majority of the throws and a majority of the plays there in practice, but nobody knows. Nobody knows for the time that the media is allotted and they are allowed to go in. Yes, the Eagles show a few flashes of Jalen Hurts, but they did the same thing last week, and apparently he did not practice at all, according to sources. So nobody really knows right now. All they're saying is that he's listed as limited. Yesterday, Nick Sirianni spoke to the media and said that they will know more in a few days and that they're taking it day by day. So who knows at this point? It is starting to get a little bit concerning. Hopefully Jalen Hurts can come back, be himself, and lead this Eagles team the way he was before. Now, the positive update today comes with CJ Gardner-Johnson. He has been out, 4 or 5 weeks with that lacerated kidney. And Josh Talentino here says that CJ was back at practice today looking smooth and was going through the catch circuit with the rest of the starting DBs, including Darius Slay, James Bradbury, and Marcus Epps. CJ Gardner-Johnson is a guy who was leading the league in interceptions. He was a difference maker for this defense, and a lot of people have been critical of Jonathan Gannon the last few weeks, deservedly so, the way he has come out very soft in his coverages, not applying a lot of pressure to the quarterback. But to give him the benefit of the doubt, sometimes you change up your scheme when you are limited in terms of personnel, and losing a player like CJ Gardner-Johnson definitely hurts a lot more than you would think, right? I mean, the Eagles have had, Reed Blankenship and Kayvon Wallace out there trying to survive on an island. It just is not going to work, come meaningful football time. So it is very good to see CJ Gardner-Johnson back practicing, and I do believe he will play this weekend. And honestly, I think the Eagles defense needs it. They need a little jolt of energy. They need to be rejuvenated, and CJ will come in, and I'm sure he'll make a couple big hits if he does play. Now, the last thing, Shane Steichen talked about Miles Sanders, and everybody was wondering about Miles Sanders. Was his lack of touches last week contributed to maybe that knee injury they were talking about? Well, here's what Shane Steichen said on Miles Sanders, quote, "We always want to mix our guys in. Miles is obviously our guy. We just wanted to get a mix." So essentially, the horrid play calling was not due to any injury. It was just a bad philosophy and really just a bad day at the office for the Eagles coaching staff. So that's where we're at with our injuries. Hopefully the Eagles get healthy. They need guys to play this weekend. They need Jalen Hurts to play to hopefully wrap up the number 1 seed. Now, on the flip side, the big topic of discussion, will the Giants play their starters? I sat up here last week after the game and I said, there's just absolutely no way they can do that. You get to the playoffs for the first time in however many years, and imagine being Brian Daboll throwing Daniel Jones out there, throwing Saquon Barkley, and boom, somebody goes down with a huge, massive season-ending injury. Could you imagine just the downpour that would fall over Brian Daboll and that organization, when you would be out here essentially not in any type of meaningful game, right? The Giants have already clinched. They can't go up. They can't go down. Imagine throwing your guys out there, even if it's for just a couple quarters or a drive or so, and they go down like that. So to me, I understand Brian Daboll is a tough-minded coach and he's new, and I know he wants to keep his guys in rhythm, but there's just absolutely no way that I see the Giants coming out here and playing their men. I know it's a division game and there's, stock to be had within that and there's rivalries and all that. It just doesn't make sense from the Giants' perspective. And originally, Brian Daboll kind of tipped his hand by saying he was thinking about playing or that he was leaning towards that, but then it kind of took a step back over the next few days. Well, here's the latest update from today, and it does seem like the Giants will be resting. According to Pat Leonard on Twitter, he says, what I just saw at practice confirms that the Giants will likely rest several starters versus the Eagles. We'll cover it in today's daily news. So it seems to be trending towards the smart decision, the logical decision. Do not play the guys, sit them out. And what does that mean for the Eagles? Well, you have to go out here and blast this team. You have to go out here and win handily, get it done early, and clinch that number 1 seed. It is vital, not just for the future success of this team and obviously having the home field advantage, but getting your guys healthy, as we have talked about all along. The Eagles need it at this point. It would have been nice not to have to play anybody this week, but now the Eagles are in a must-win situation. Obviously, the Cowboys could lose and other things could happen, but the Eagles need to take care of their business, especially if you're going up against the Giant backups. You don't want a tight game coming down to the wire. No way. That would absolutely kill more confidence going into the playoffs. But speaking of the playoffs, once again, shout out to Damar Hamlin. Glad to hear that he is doing better and doing okay. And his injury has now sparked the conversation with the NFL about what do they do with the Bengals and Bills game. Do they resume? Do they not? And apparently, according to league sources, they are not going to resume that. Here is the latest. After that announcement was made earlier today, there have been different discussions put out. Do they go by win percentage? Do they go by, amount of wins? Do they add more teams? And here's what they're saying in terms of the scheduling. They're saying the NFL is figuring out what to do with the AFC seeding. A neutral site could be at the AFC Championship if possible. The expansion of the playoff field could be possible. And see what it says at the end. NFC is possible. Now, we did get a later update on this not too long ago, actually, from Jonathan Ketz, and he says the AP is reporting that the NFL will not resume the game and that they're considering adding an 8th team to the mix, allowing the first 2 teams in each conference to get bye weeks. So now instead of just the number 1 seed getting the bye week, getting the home field, it could be the top 2 teams. What does this mean for the Eagles? Well, not much. The Eagles need to win, take care of business, because if they lose and the Cowboys win, Dallas floats all the way up and the Eagles fall to the number 5 seed. And what does that mean? For the second year in a row, they are going on the road to Tampa Bay to play the greatest quarterback of all time. Yes, it hurts to say, but it is true in terms of, accolades and all that and length and duration. Tom Brady is the greatest to do it in NFL history. And the Eagles went there last year. They just got absolutely slammed from the beginning, and there was no hope of coming back. Could the Eagles beat the Bucs? Absolutely. Could the Cowboys beat the Bucs? Absolutely. But do you want to run the table and try your chances against Tom Brady in the first round? We know the playoff Brady that comes out is always a different beast, and you saw what he did last week to get into the playoffs. So the Eagles need to handle their business. This does not mean much for them, but it is intriguing to kind of think about the playoff picture as a whole, right? You start to think about the Vikings or the 49ers, how much more will these week 18 games mean now? Maybe a couple of the games in the past couple of weeks didn't mean as much, and now they might mean more, right? Especially in the AFC. So definitely an interesting thing to keep your eye on. I'm not sure what they're going to do. I do think there is a strong possibility they add another game, or maybe they delay this week 18, push it back. Nobody knows at the current time. What Eagles Nation needs to know is that this is a must-win game. There is absolutely no excuse to lose this one, and you have to build that confidence back. You have to build that stability back and give your guys an extra week. Even guys like Lane Johnson, will definitely need that extra week coming back in, getting ready to go, and trying to make a lengthy push to the Super Bowl. Only a couple games, but we know this point of the season, a lot of guys are injured. It takes a toll on you, man, and it's tough to win a few games in a row, win or go home. So the Eagles need to be ready in all facets, and they need to take care of their business this upcoming week. Give me all your thoughts down below in the comments section. Let me know how you feel about all this. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and like always, I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.